So for the first demonstration today, what I want to do is kind of take you through a potential workflow for working with the scholarly literature. That's what most of you will be engaged with most of the time, and so I wanted to start there and focus on that. Now, all of you, no doubt, are adept at finding the literature that you want and downloading it and accessing it. But many people are not aware of a program called BrowZine. BrowZine. It is an app, and we have access to it through Texas A&M University. And it's a really clever way of keeping up with the current literature in your field. And so if you have a number of journals that you are engaged with, that you regularly read articles from, then what you can do in BrowZine is set up alerts for all of those. And so these are set up as bookshelves and bookcases. In this case, I've got a bookcase on religious studies, one on evolution, actually a couple of them on evolution, and one on applied evolution. And so it then kind of goes out and queries these journals to see what new articles have come up, and those are the little numbers that you see on the right. So let's say, for instance, I wanted to peruse evolution in human behavior. Many of the articles I engage with are published there. It's one of the higher end journals in my field, and I can kind of scroll through there, and one that stands out to me right away is Evolution and Functions of Human Dance. It's not something I'm working on, but it's something that I've followed for years, and Todd Shackelford is a well-renowned scholar in the field of cultural evolution, and so that one might pique my interest. I might be interested in downloading that, so I click on it, and BrowZine will actually take you to the article for you to download. This is the PDF version that you can use, or this is the HTML version, and you can obviously engage with that. Many of us, though, prefer to deal with PDF. So if I go to do that, then I can do the usual thing. So for instance, you might be inclined to download that. Perhaps you have some folders on your computer that you keep PDFs. Hopefully you have a simplified filing system for that, especially after today's lecture. But another thing that can be quite handy is some reference management software programs will allow you to just, many reference management programs now will allow you to just download these into the reference management software with a single click. So if I go here, Zotero is a program that I've just started using. It's open source, quite powerful, quite popular. I've been a long time EndNote user, but Zotero has some advantages, so I'm starting to make the change to it. But if I click on this, it will save directly to my Zotero library. And if I go over here to Zotero, then we'll see Evolution and Functions of Human Dance has been downloaded, and all of the metadata for that has been imported. So we've got all of the authors, the abstract, the publication, volume information, everything down to the DOI, which is far more information than I would manually put in any reference management software on my own. So that's really quite handy. And it is attached the PDF. So if I double click on this, it will open up in Adobe Acrobat or whatever PDF reader that you have, and you can then proceed to annotate it. I'm not going to go through this entire article, but just highlight a few passages from the abstract, which is something that would be very characteristic for me to do. I find it helpful to have sort of a to-be-read pile in various apps. In this case, I would have PDFs that I might be interested in reading, and I might, go through the abstract really quickly and highlight some things that stood out to me that might be interesting just for my general interest or for projects that I'm working on. So, so here we review dance and research from an evolutionary perspective. We propose that human dance evolved from ordinary movements to communicate socially relevant information accurately. So that ties in with some work that I've done on rituals, so I find that I'll highlight that so I can find it again. Let's see. because of its complexity in production and display, dance may have evolved as a vehicle for expressing social and cultural information. That's interesting. And then let's see their conclusions in this whole paper. That might be something that I would refer back to. Is that despite the cultural diversity in dance movements and contexts, the primary communicative functions of dance may be the same across society. So that's a provocative point. And obviously I could go through this whole thing and highlight whatever I wanted to. But this will do for our demonstration purposes here today. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. It will ask me if I want to save, and I will. I'm just going to go ahead and use the folder that it was in, and I'm just going to replace the original one. So I'm just going to save over that and say yes to overwrite it. I can easily get a clean copy of this PDF if I ever need it. If you're a person who likes to have clean PDFs, then it just takes an extra step because you have to then attach the annotated version to the original version. But just to verify here, if I double click on this, you'll see that my annotations are there, so I can close that out. Having notes in reference management software is useful. It was something that I was quite excited about when it first came online, but all of the notes then are kind of siloed. It's often difficult to search those notes or to do anything useful with them other than just read them when you come back to those papers. So my next step in this would be to take the notes, the annotations that I've made, whether those are just highlights or highlights and notes, and put those in my note-taking software, whatever that might be. In this case, I'm using Roam Research. So I'm just going to click on this, and if I go to Manage the Attachments, I can extract the annotations. Now, to do this, you need actually an extra plugin for Zotero, but it's quite easy to do. And so I've pulled up those annotations, extracted annotations, here, and if I click on that, I will see my comments here, and I can just copy those and paste them into my note-taking software. So here in Roam Research, I have created a page, Evolution and Functions of Human Dance. I've included the authors here, and not a lot of extra metadata. I can certainly add that later, and probably will if this becomes something that I become interested in, if I start working on it for a project. But I have included the DOI so I can go back and find the original article if I need to. Now, one of the great things about Roam is the ability to link things, and so these are authors I haven't heard of before. Bernard Fink, Bedinia Blessing, Andrea Rivgogny, and Todd Shackelford. I obviously have heard of him, but I can create links to pages so that if they ever publish anything else in the field, I can start adding to that. And so the markup is really simple, just some double square braces here. I'm going to do that for all of them. And you'll see now that these are links. And if I click on one, so Todd Shackelford, for instance, it takes me to a new page that's been created and links back to the original page. And that's one of the things that I really love about Roam Research is the way in which it links things in both directions. So you create a new page, and that page automatically refers back to the page that linked it. I can also create some tags here. Some of them may already exist, so I might have an evolution tag here, and I certainly do, so we'll go ahead and include that. I have cultural evolution, certainly falls in there, so I will include that tag, and we'll just do one more. Oops. Dance, and that's good enough for here for now. And this is just making it easier for me to go back and find that information later. But obviously what I wanted to do was to take the markup, the extracted annotations that I had in Zotero, and put those in my note-taking software. So go back here, and I can just create a new line, and there we go. And so now I have those particular highlights, and it links back to the open library. So I can actually click on this and go back to the original link, so I can go back and open Zotero, and it's going to pull up that PDF for me, which is extremely handy. And then I can do further refinements along the way in the, getting back to what we were talking about in terms of progressive summarization. I can go back and I can highlight things, I can make things bold, etc. And that can then help me synthesize that later. I can create, up here at the top, I can create an executive summary, which I'm obviously not ready to do here, but I can make that a title. And then I could start creating my summary from all of the highlights that I already have. And so this is a fantastic way to make the information manageable. It makes it discoverable, and it allows me to begin playing with this information for productive purposes. And so I can go back and highlight and link to all of these individual quotes that I might want in writing a paper. For instance, if I were writing a scholarly article on evolution and the functions of human dance, or just human dance in general, this might be something I could refer to, and I could cite, or I could pull up any of these quotes as needed.